Hello, and welcome to My Low Country Living. I'm Tommy Ray. Today, we're going to make sourdough pita bread. Now, pita bread is a beloved flatbread that dates back thousands of years to the ancient Middle East. And the name comes from the Greek word pita, which simply just means flat or solid. Traditionally, pita bread has been a staple in the Mediterranean, the Middle Eastern, and Northern African countries. So the defining feature of pita is that pocket that is formed during the baking process that people love to stuff their food into. Now, we're going to go ahead and make our pita the old-fashioned way without yeast. We're actually going to just do a sourdough pita bread recipe. It's really simple to make, and you're going to love it. You're going to love the tanginess that you get from that sourdough, and this is a super soft, wonderful pita bread. All right, let's get started. For the recipe for our sourdough pita bread, we're going to use 340 grams of all-purpose flour, 60 grams of whole wheat flour, 160 grams of our sourdough starter that's fed and active, 220 grams of water, 20 grams of extra virgin olive oil, and 10 grams of sea salt. The very first thing we want to do before we start our bread is we're going to go ahead and feed our starter about 4 to 6 hours. And you can see this one here, it's been fed. It was fed about 4 hours ago, and it is active and bubbly. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, second, we want to add our dry ingredients to the bowl. And so I've got here a scale, and we want to go ahead and measure out this in grams. Now don't forget to carry out your scale to 0. All right, so first we're going to add our 60 grams of our wheat flour. All right, 62, close enough. Okay, second, we want to add our dry ingredients to the bowl. And so I've got here a scale, and we want to go ahead and measure out this in grams. Now don't forget to carry out your scale to 0. All right, so first we're going to add our 60 grams of our wheat flour. All right, 62, close enough. Okay, I'm going to carry out the scale to 0 again, and now we're going to add 340 grams of our all-purpose flour. Perfect. All right, let's carry that again to 0. Now I'm going to add our water, which is 220 grams of water. Oof. So I need is just a smidgen more. $220. All right, let's carry that again, and now we're going to add 160 grams of sourdough starter. $161, close enough. And 20 grams of our olive oil. And lastly, 10 grams of sea salt. Once that's all in there, we're going to go ahead and just remove this from the scale. And then using our hands, we're just going to go ahead and mix this together for 1 to 2 minutes until it comes together. It kind of forms into a nice scraggly type of dough. Okay, now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and just take our dough and transfer it to a clean surface. I'm just going to knead it for the next 15 minutes or so by hand. A little flour there, my little area I'm kneading to work that. And now we just go to town for 15 minutes. I'll see you then. Okay, after about 15 minutes, your dough should be nice and soft and elasticy. And then what you want to do is just go ahead and form that dough into a ball. And we're going to take our container again, and we're going to just go ahead and grease it up a little bit with some olive oil here. Get my ball here full of oil so that it doesn't dry out. We're going to put a lid on there, and then we're going to go ahead and let that sit for 4 to 6 hours until it doubles in size. And here is our dough. I actually let it set overnight, so it's been about 10 or 11 hours, but it is definitely doubled. It looks really, really, really good. And what we want to do is actually do a couple stretch and fold here to kind of release some of this gas. Okay. After we've done that, we are going to separate this into 8 little balls. So I got my bench scraper here, and we're just gonna give it a couple cuts. All right, now let's go ahead and form these into some little balls here real quick. Okay, there, and we have our 8 balls. Now we're just going to cover those with a kitchen towel and let those rest for about 10 minutes. Okay, our 10 minutes is up, so we're going to go ahead and take these, and I'll put them in here, and we're going to roll out a pita. Okay, using our rolling pin, we're just going to roll out from the middle to the edges, and we're going to roll this to about 6 inches in size. That one's a little bit bigger than 6 inches, but it'll shrink up. There we go. All right, and now we'll go ahead and do that for all the rest of them, and then we're going to go ahead and cook them on a cast iron skillet that has been preheated, and so we'll go ahead and do that next. Okay, our pan's nice and hot. It's been on medium-high heat, preheating, and we're going to go ahead and put our pita in there, and we're going to cook that 1 to 2 minutes per side, and then flip it over. As you can see, we're starting to see some bubbles rising around the edges there. So we're going to go ahead and flip it over and let it continue cooking on the second side. Okay, there is our pita. And there is 8 pitas there. They look fantastic. Now you want to let these go ahead and rest and cool for about 10 minutes before you eat them. And you can go ahead and eat these with sandwiches and with gyros or soups and salads. It pairs wonderfully with hummus, baba ganoush, tzatziki, or even your favorite dips. You can stuff it with grilled chicken, falafel, or roasted vegetables. It's very versatile. Thanks for joining us today in My Little Country Living as we made homemade sourdough pita bread. It's a recipe I'm sure you'll like. Now, if you enjoy this recipe, go ahead and hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more recipes like this one. Thanks.